In this video, we're going to talk about the cost of airline travel versus traveling and vacationing by an RV. And let me tell you what, the savings are going to amaze you. That's all I got to say. So let's get started. Here we go. And you know, there's also some headaches that go along with air travel. And we'll get into those here in a little bit. Airline travel versus a road trip in an RV. Let me tell you, there's a big savings. Flights to Seattle in this case were $750 each for a total of $3,000 for 4 people. It adds up quick, guys, let me tell you. Hotel costs $150 a night for 24 nights. That's $3,600. Again, it just is what it is. And I didn't go the expensive stuff. Eating out, $140 a day for a family of 4. That's $3,360. I got a little typo in there, but better get that fixed, Chuck. Car rental, $75 a day when you're in Seattle. That's $1,800 for a 24-day trip for a total cost of $11,760. Woo! That's a lot of money, let me tell you. But you know what? That's just the way it is. Okay, let's talk about RV costs, the travel cost breakdown of traveling in an RV. In this case, we're going to take a diesel truck pulling a camper. So, of course, we're going to have diesel fuel. We're going to go 3,600 miles round trip, 10 miles a gallon, $3.50 a gallon for diesel. Total fuel cost, $1,296. Campground fees, 20 nights at $30, water and electric only. 4 nights of full hookups, $240. Home cooked food, $64 per day for a family of 4, total of $1,536. We add all those up, 24 days of traveling is $3,672. Wow, that's a huge difference, let me tell you. You're talking about $8,800, that's $8,000 savings. That's 54% that you can save by pulling your RV out for a 2-week trip. Now, also, just to clarify a few things, the budget hotels I was talking about were the Holiday Inns, La Quinta's, Days Inn. So you could go cheaper and you could go more expensive, but those are a basic medium of the road hotel with swimming pool and a few amenities. So anyway, now let's move on. The cost that I gave you were for my road trip that I was planning. I did find an RV Industry Association study that you're going from Dallas to the Grand Canyon, 37%. Oklahoma City to Corpus Christi, you can save 55%, 39% and 47% for a group of 4 people. You know, it just adds up. And if you're trying to save some bucks, some dollars, some real money now, real money, it's definitely cheaper to travel by RV. Now, let's talk about some of the pitfalls of airline travel. Number 1, you got to get your airline tickets ordered ahead of time. And you're fixed. You can't leave a day early or a day late because you got to catch an airline. The other thing, you got to go through that TSA inspection. It's more like a molestation than an inspection. But you got to go through the TSA lines at the airport. Take your shoes off, belts off, everything out. Who knows? Oh, they're looking for something simple. And you know they change the rules all the time, so you never know what you're going to get busted for. And then you got to rent a car. And let me tell you what, car rentals kind of a crapshoot. You can reserve a car. Guess what? No cars. But I reserved one. You still don't get a car if there's no cars left by the time you get there. The second thing is, I'm going to tell you a story. My wife travels for her job, and one of her peers was traveling and took the car back at the airport, dropped it off like you normally do, got out, went home, didn't think anything about it. 30 days later, she gets a certified letter in the mail saying she did not return her car, and she had 10 days to return it. And they put her on the do not rent list. And that do not rent list goes to all car rental places. So, long story short, they found the car. The attendant thought it was one that had been damaged and needed repair or something was broken on it, so he parked it back in the repair lot over in the corner. Forgot to check it in. 90 days later, they got this thing all sorted out. So for 90 days, she couldn't rent a car. and she thought she was going to get reported to the police as not returning a car, and they were going to give her as a suspect by the police department. Luckily, it all worked out. But again, it took a long time and it was very frustrating. She spent many, many hours on the phone. It almost got to the point where she was going to have to fly down to that parking lot and look around. But anyway, it got resolved. That's one of the... and also, when you rent a car and reserve a car, just because you reserve a SUV that seats 5 people and has room for your luggage, that doesn't mean it's going to be available when you get there. You might get a compact car. Those things happen. The other thing is dirty hotel rooms. Twice in my travels, I've rented a room, gone in there, and it was still dirty. It had not been cleaned up. And you know what? There's nothing more disgusting than walking into a room that's dirty, going down the front desk, and they say, well, we'll send housekeeping to go clean it up. You've already seen the dirt and filth. You think, how in the world are they going to get that clean? But you know what? That's one of the downfalls of renting hotel rooms. The other thing, restaurants. Dirty restaurants. You got to be careful. You can't see what's going on back in most of the kitchens. You don't know how clean they are. You don't know how they're preparing your food, if they're doing it safely or not. And let me tell you what, the bigger the city, I think the bigger problem you have, because they don't have as many inspections, and the inspections, they tend to walk through and give them a passing grade because they don't want to shut down a local business. So anyway, that's the downfalls of airline travel. Now, the good thing about traveling in an RV, number one, you got the cost savings from traveling by RV. Number one, you also have the comfortability. You got your own sheets, your own pillows, your own clothes, your own books to read, your own computers, laptops, movies, games. You know what? You can't pack that much stuff on in a carry-on bag when you're getting on an airline. You just can't pack everything you want. And then you have the cooking. You get to cook your own food you're familiar with, food that you know how to cook, that your family likes, that everybody's going to eat. And you know what? It's a lot better than eating out, believe me, especially for 2 weeks. And the other thing, when we go camping, it's not unusual for us to make friends in the campground, and we end up having a little potluck. Or maybe it's cooking s'mores around the campfire. So we get to meet some people. We get to make some friends at the campground. And you know what? There's absolutely nothing better than a campfire. You know, it's a good way to meet people. You get the warmth and the light at night on chilly nights. It's just awesome to be around. You can make s'mores. You can make a cobbler in a campfire. And when you make a cobbler, or even hot dogs, cook hot dogs out, you know? And then everybody gets involved. You know, you can have a 6-year-old or an 85-year-old. And you know what? Sitting around a campfire, they're almost equals. People in the family, they can cook the hot dogs. The little kids can eat them. The little kids can make s'mores, and Grandpa can eat them. It's just a fun, relaxing thing. Also, bonding. There's nothing better than sitting around a campfire and telling stories. Telling stories about how Mom and Dad, when they were little, they did this or they did that. It's just a really good atmosphere. Okay, so we've pointed out the cost savings, the drawbacks to flying, the advantages for taking your RV. So, in my opinion, I'm going to take an RV every time. Now, there's certain circumstances. If one person is going, it may not be. It's cheaper to fly. I'm not going to disagree with that. But the drive. Everything you get to experience on the drive. You get to stop when you want to stop. You get to, if you see something you want to do, you have the ability, if you're pulling your camper, to go in and do it. You don't. I mean, you're on an airplane. You can't stop and say, "Hey, I want to go to that town down there." Nope. You know, you're going to Seattle. So anyway, I think we'll wrap this up. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you saw the cost savings and the benefits of RV travel. And if you like what you saw, give me a thumbs up. Please comment if you liked it, didn't like it. If you some things you want me to talk about, I'd be glad to take any suggestions and work on them. And if you really like what you see, please subscribe. We really would appreciate it, both Carrie and I. So until we meet around the campfire, y'all take care now. Bye-bye.